The weather across the United Kingdom is entering a critical phase. We're relooking at a significant pattern change that will affect every part of the country over the next 7 to 10 days. And if you've been monitoring conditions this week, you will have noticed the stark contrasts already developing. Right now, the contrast couldn't be sharper. Across the southwest, from Cornwall through Devon and into Somerset, conditions have been mild and damp. Yellow weather warnings for wind are in force for parts of West Wales and southwestern England, with gusts potentially reaching 65 miles per hour. Some areas are still recovering from Storm Goretti, and we are expecting further impacts from this low-pressure system that moved in overnight. Eastern areas are seeing something quite different. Sunny spells through this afternoon, a brighter and warmer day than yesterday. Still breezy, but with a southerly wind bringing relatively mild air. Temperatures around 8 or 9 degrees quite widely, which is around average if not slightly above. But that mild spell is about to end. Let me explain what's happening meteorologically and why this pattern change matters. We have an area of high pressure building up to the northeast, while areas of low pressure are pushing in from off the Atlantic. The trigger is an area of low pressure beginning to slide southwards on the 20th and 21st of January, with heights building towards Scandinavia. This is an unusual setup, with areas of low pressure on a northwest to southeast line. Wednesday brings the focus back to rain. Outbreaks of rain will continue to move up from the south through the day. Most of us can expect wet weather on Wednesday, but it's particularly across eastern Scotland where rainfall totals will build up. We could see some snow as well above 300 or 400 metres by Wednesday afternoon. There's a rain warning in force for these areas. Southeasterly winds bring the added risk of large waves, and it is a fairly unusual direction for rainfall to come in. By the end of Friday, we could see as much as 120 millimetres of rain building up over the highest ground in eastern Scotland. With the added risk of snow mixed in, we are expecting some disruption from the heavy rain, as well as possibly some quite large waves. Now, let's talk about what happens after that wet and windy spell moves through, because this is where it gets interesting for those of you who've been waiting for proper winter weather. By Sunday, all areas are looking quite cold. We are expecting wintry showers from the east. Not quite beast from the east levels, but cold nonetheless. An area of low pressure slides through the south of the UK with cold air embedded within it. We could see a bit of snow on the northern edge. Eastern and southeastern regions should expect plenty of wintry showers, particularly in the north through northern Scotland, where we could see some quite heavy wintry showers. The cold air becomes trapped across all areas. The jet stream drops down into Spain, which carries low pressure systems further southwards. As these systems get pushed southwards, they weaken and can turn into what we call channel lows, bringing significant snow to southern areas. Then we get into the really cold phase. Higher pressure rebuilds to the northwest of the UK, and the wind turns into a proper northeasterly direction. This drags in air from Western Europe, and we're re-looking at blocked, cold, wintry conditions with snow possible just about anywhere. Let me be clear about the model guidance here, because there has been considerable agreement across the major models, which increases confidence in this forecast. The GFS model shows areas of low pressure pushing up from the south, bringing constant wintry hazards. The ECMWF, which has been rather reluctant to show cold this winter, is now on board with this pattern. It actually brings the cold air in earlier than the GFS, with the low pressure sliding even further south. This allows blocking high pressure to establish itself to the north. Both models show a series of low pressure systems sliding southwards rather than the usual west to east track. Each one brings wintry weather, and with high pressure to the north and northeast, the wind direction locks in from the east and northeast. That's the key to sustained cold. The GFS ensembles are trending much colder. We are currently around to above average temperatures, but we're re-looking at a drop into the latter half of January. Average temperatures below -5 degrees Celsius are pretty uncommon these days. Some ensemble members are getting down to very cold levels, -10 or below. Now, many of you will remember previous cold spells. The Great Storm of '87, the Burnsday Storm of '90, the Beast from the East in 2018. You've lived through these events, you know what severe weather looks like. This pattern is not at that extreme level, but it is significant. The Beast from the East in 2018 brought temperatures down to -14 in parts of Scotland, with significant snow across much of the country. What we're looking at now is not quite that severe, but it's the most significant cold spell we've seen this winter, and possibly for the last couple of years. Let me break this down by region, because the impacts will vary considerably depending on where you are. Scotland, you're already dealing with the worst of the wet weather. Eastern Scotland in particular needs to stay alert through Wednesday and Thursday for heavy rain and potential flooding. Snow above 300 or 400 metres. By the weekend, you transition to cold and wintry showers from the northeast. The Scottish Highlands could see quite heavy snow at times. If you are in central or southern Scotland, expect wintry showers, mainly of sleet and snow. Northern England, you'll see the transition happen later in the week. Thursday brings wet weather, turning to sleet and snow over higher ground in the Pennines. By Sunday, wintry showers push in from the east. Northeast England, you are in the firing line for these showers. Could be quite frequent at times. Northwest England sees less activity initially, but Don T rule out wintry showers drifting inland if the wind is strong enough. The Midlands, you've had a quiet winter so far. Temperatures hovering around 6 or 7 degrees, grey skies. That extended mild spell ends next week. You are looking at cold air arriving Sunday into Monday. Wintry showers possible, especially in the East Midlands. There are hints of low pressure systems moving up from the south that could bring snow to central southern areas of the Midlands. One to watch, East Anglia. I know many of you have been waiting for snow. You've gone several winters without decent coverage in some areas. This pattern has potential. The easterly wind direction favours your region for wintry showers. But I'm not promising anything until we see how these systems develop. The setup is there. Whether it delivers significant snow depends on the exact track of those low-pressure systems. Wales, you are dealing with heavy rain this morning. That changes dramatically by Wednesday when colder air starts to filter in. Parts of North Wales could see snow over higher ground by Thursday. The valleys might see sleet or wet snow at times, but it's the hills and mountains that see the most significant accumulations. Southwest England, UV enjoyed relatively mild conditions recently. Devon has had pleasant weather for the past fortnight. That is going to feel like a distant memory by Friday. You will see rain initially, possibly turning to sleet over Dartmoor and higher ground. As the cold air locks in, any precipitation turns increasingly wintry. Southeast England, this is where it gets particularly interesting. If those low-pressure systems track just right, moving up from the south or southwest and bumping into the cold air, you could see snow, even areas south of the M4, even London potentially. Now, that would be unusual. Snow in London is rare, but it does happen. The setup supports it. We'll need to watch the detail closely over the next few days. Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland also see this pattern change. Wintry showers pushing in from the northeast, particularly affecting eastern counties. Heavy showers at times. Let me address the uncertainty here because honesty matters. This is a 7 to 10 day forecast. That S at the limit of reliable prediction. The broad pattern is well established across the models. Cold air arrives, easterly winds, wintry hazards. That is high confidence. The details, the exact timing, the precise locations for snow, the amounts. That S lower confidence. Snow cannot be forecast reliably until around 3 days out, probably 2 days to be on the safe side. So if you re-asking me exactly how much snow Birmingham gets or whether Manchester sees accumulation, I cannot tell you that yet. The ingredients are there. Whether they come together in your specific location depends on small-scale features we want to resolve until much closer to the time. What I can tell you is this. The interest period is from around the 25th onwards to at least the end of the month, possibly extending into early February. The GFS ensembles suggest this cold pattern could persist. If we see a sudden stratospheric warming event, which some models are hinting at, that could lock in the cold for mid to late February as well. Now, practical matters, because forecast information is only useful if you can act on it. For those in the southeast and southern areas who don't see this sort of weather often, prepare now. Most people down there, Donty, keep snow shovels to hand, and that is fair enough. But if you can, work from home on Thursday and Friday when the transition happens. The roads want to be gritted as thoroughly as they would be up north. If you are in eastern regions, stock up on essentials. Not panic buying, just sensible preparation. Bread, milk, anything you do normally need for a few days. If the wintry showers are as frequent as the models suggest, you might not want to be driving around unnecessarily. Scotland, you're already dealing with flooding concerns. Make sure drains are clear. If you're in a flood-prone area, move valuables upstairs. The Environment Agency, Natural Resources Wales, and SEPA have issued warnings. Pay attention to those. For everyone, check on elderly neighbours. Temperature swings can be difficult, and we've had quite a few of those recently. People have been poorly for weeks with this back and forth. When the cold locks in, at least it is consistent. But it brings its own challenges, particularly for older people and those with health conditions. If your car gets stuck in the snow, old trick, cardboard, or an old carpet under the tyres increases traction. Work's a treat. Many of you probably already know that. Grit your paths, but Donty, just do it once. If snow is falling, you'll need to do it multiple times, or wait until the snowfall eases off before gritting. Otherwise, you are just wasting your effort and your grit. For driving, gentle acceleration, gentle braking, leave plenty of space. If you don't need to travel, don't, particularly in southern areas where the road services aren't set up for heavy snow the way they are in Scotland or northern England. Keep torches and warm clothes in the car. If you do get stuck somewhere, you'll be glad of them. Phone fully charged before any journey. One final point on the models and the forecast timeline. You'll see a lot of weather content over the next week showing dramatic snow charts and very cold temperatures. Some of it will be accurate, some of it will be exaggerated. The models can change. They have changed significantly over the past few days, actually trending colder when earlier in the week. Some were showing milder scenarios. Don T take individual model runs as gospel. Look at the ensembles, look at the consistency across multiple models, look at the synoptic setup. High pressure to the north and northeast, low pressure to the south, easterly winds. That pattern is robust. The details within that pattern will fluctuate. I'll be monitoring this closely and providing updates as we get closer to the event. The next critical time frame is Wednesday into Thursday, when we see how these rainfall and snow warnings play out across Scotland. Then we watch the weekend transition very carefully to see how quickly the cold air establishes itself. This is not the end of the world. Winter means cold and wet. This is a significant cold spell, but we've seen worse. You've seen worse. Many of you lived through 62 to 63, the big freeze, or the winter of 78 to 79, or more recently 2010. You know how to handle this. But don't underestimate it either, particularly if you are in areas that rarely see snow. Take it seriously, prepare sensibly, and look after each other. The pattern is set. The cold is coming. How it plays out in your specific area will become clearer over the next few days. Stay tuned to the forecast, pay attention to warnings from the Met Office and the relevant agencies, and use common sense. If you found this information useful, I appreciate your continued support. I'll keep you updated as this situation develops. The models will run again tonight, and we'll see if this cold pattern holds or if there are any changes to the detail. For now, eastern areas, enjoy the dry weather whilst it lasts. Everyone else, batten down the hatches. We ray in for an interesting